Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a video that last week I said I was going to make numerous times and I never actually got down to it because of other situations that arose. But I'm finally getting to sit down here today and talk to you a lot about something that a lot of Celtic fans are now bringing into discussion and bringing into awareness that maybe it's time that Scott Brown moves aside from the Celtic starting 11. Something that personally I didn't imagine any Celtic fan saying. Didn't imagine that I would be even uttering the words on YouTube this time. You know, even a matter of 4 or 5 months ago. This is a player, this is a leader who took us to a double treble, who has been at the club now for 10 years, playing to the highest of standards through the vast majority of said career, to someone who was our player of the season last year. You know, there's a lot of things that just make this very, very confusing, but a lot of Celtic fans are under the impression that maybe it's time that Brown isn't looked at as the first central midfielder on the team sheet. All down to basically what has been happening over the past few weeks. Now, I'll save my opinion for towards the end of the video, but I'm going to look at both sides of the argument in this video, and then I will finally give my opinion at the end towards whether or not Scott Brown should maybe be down in the pecking order at Celtic, which to me is still, you know, weird to say. Really weird to say. But Celtic have been playing extraordinary. So I'm going to start with the overall story, unless, in case you've been stuck under a rock and you don't understand what is happening with Scott Brown. And this discussion could go as far as to Olivier Ntcham as well. And Ntcham we know is a young, fantastic player. Someone who looks to be in the squad and majority of the time play well, but has his ups, has his downs. And people are saying, you know, maybe it's time for Brown and Ntcham to move aside for a wee bit because of how well we've been playing recently without them in the side. So the moral, you know, the moral of the story is Brown got injured, out the team. Before he got injured, Celtic were struggling. We couldn't score goals. We didn't really possess any sort of attacking threat. We weren't a clinical danger against the majority of sides we came against. But then the minute he gets hurt and he's out the team, which was a massive blow. You know, I remember Scott Brown getting injured and hearing that he won't be back for a few weeks, thinking to myself, this could go a matter of ways. It can hurt Celtic. It can hurt the rest of Brown's career. It can hurt his performance when he's back from injury. They were the first things going through my head. I never thought in a sense that it would benefit us results wise, because at first you've got to put the man first. You've got to put the man whose career has taken a bit of a standstill because he's taken an injury. That's the first thing that pops into your head. But he's been out the team. Celtic had to look at replacements, look at a solution while he was out the side, and what we came to the solution of being is giving players like Ryan Christie a chance. Tom Rogic getting more starts. Callum McGregor being moved back into a more defensive sort of role rather than that attacking role that we're used to seeing him in. And not even been on the left wing, because we've seen a lot of Callum McGregor on the left wing. And now he's been moved back to the middle of the park. And I would say it's benefited him, although I liked him on the left as well. I think overall Callum McGregor's a cracking player. And he can really do anything for us. But he's looked good in that role. And that's the kind of three we've been rolling with throughout the last few games. St Johnstone, we won 6-0. Hearts at Murrayfield, we pumped them 3-0. We beat Hibs 4-2. We beat Hearts at Parkhead 5-0. We beat Dundee in Dundee 5-0. The only really lacklustre and disappointing performance was this weekend against Livingston, where you could see a number of things came into fruition and probably making us a lack with the fact that we're coming off a tiresome week where we had a big Europa League match. We were also playing on a plastic pitch. At the end of the day, we drew, and hats off to Livingston. But that was really the only kind of negative performance, and even at that, we weren't despicably bad, and we didn't lose the game. We still gained a point and went top of the table. We'd done what we had to do to get back to the top. So we'll put that game aside, but we're talking about those games, those high-scoring affairs where we're playing fast, attacking football. And a lot of people have been saying, it's because Brown isn't there. It's because Brown isn't there to slow things down. Because a lot of fans, as I say, I'm going to go over both sides of the story. A lot of fans are under the impression that when Brown plays, he slows down the game. He doesn't look for the clinical pass, the pass that would probably allow us the best opportunity at goal. He looks to get the ball going side to side sort of thing, or even go backwards. What we've got to remember about Brown is he's a very aggressive-minded player in the sense that he's more in for the interceptions, for winning the ball back, controlling the game, rather than being that attacking outlet who, you know, creates chances for the rest of the team. But in that same sense, we've moved McGregor into that Scott Brown role, where he's done what Scott Brown has to do in the sense of intercepting, in this sense of tackling and doing all that stuff, but also allowing us that attacking outlet and creating those passes, those final moves that necessarily Brown doesn't really offer us. So a lot of people think that McGregor's a better and a more viable option in that role rather than Scott Brown. With Christie coming in, he has flourished. He's earned himself a new contract which he signed today. And fair play to him, he's proven a lot of people who didn't really rate him, me being one of them, wrong, because he's showing true quality. He's scoring goals, he's making goals, and he's really offering a lot of attacking quality to the side. And Tom Rogic has been able to come into the team and play more to his strengths, because I feel like when we've had McGregor and Rogic both playing in that same sort of role, or even McGregor on the left, I feel like it's limited to both of them because it's two of the same player and two that want to do the same kind of thing. And with these three playing as that middle three, we have just looked a lot better, a lot more clinical. And the real pinnacle of all of this was the Leipzig game on Thursday night, where we looked superb. We looked like a much better team than Leipzig for the majority of the game. And that's because we were taking the game to them. We were intense. We were creating opportunities. And is this because of the absence of Scott Brown? A lot of people would argue that if Brown was there, we wouldn't be as intense. It'd be a lot more of that kind of play that we've seen at the start of the season. Ball going side to side, slowing it down. When the ball goes to Brown, all momentum's kind of stopped. A lot of people are under that impression. Even when I look in the comments section of my match review video, a lot of people saying this is it. We need to drop Brown. He's not the starter anymore. But that brings me on to the second side of the story. We've got to look at this. This is a guy who's devoted his career to Celtic, the majority of his career to Celtic. He's been at the club now 10 years, in which he has been captain for the vast majority of that. I think he's been captain for about 6-7 years now. He has won Player of the Year twice at Celtic. He's won Scottish Player of the Year. He's won the league 7 times in a row. He's won the double treble. He's been one of the key players throughout European group stages and year by year. And he is a Celtic legend, to put it simply. Now, it comes a point in every player's career where they need to move on, where they need to take a step back and realise there are better players, and for the sake of the club, it's probably time to be replaced. But this is a player who, honestly, is still not that bad. He's still got a lot left in the tank, and he still wants to give a hell of a lot to Celtic. He is the captain. He is very passionate about the club. And for us to kind of say, do you know what, you got an injury, we've been playing better without you, you're not getting back in the team, I feel would be a bit distasteful. We've got to remember the service that this guy has provided to Celtic, and the relationship that he has with Brendan Rodgers has to come in to consideration as well. Him and Brendan Rodgers are like father and son, it seems, since the day Brendan Rodgers was named as Celtic manager. Remember hearing the story in Clyde 1 that one of the first things Brendan Rodgers done when given the job in London was asked to meet Scott Brown, meet the captain of the club. And from day one they established a relationship which has went on to be incredibly successful. And for Brendan Rodgers to sit down and say, look, that's it, you're not going to be getting the same amount of time, the same amount of starts, just because you were unlucky with an injury. I feel like a lot of people have been quick to rush to the decision that he's completely past it just because we've been playing well without him. Look, this is where I come into my opinion. My opinion is Scott Brown doesn't deserve to be thrown to the side. I understand completely that we've been playing fantastically without him, but the guy deserves at least a chance now to come in and prove that we can play as well with him. Why not give him the opportunity to get back into the team? And yes, that would mean we have to drop someone who's been playing well. But this is our captain. For him to come in and take his place back isn't like we're just giving it to some randomer. It's someone who deserves it. If he comes in and we aren't playing as well, then maybe that's the point where Brendan Rodgers does sit down with Scott Brown and say, look, we're going to be giving you less time. We're going to be giving it to these 3 guys in the middle more often because we're playing better. But there is no reason as to why not we shouldn't give Scott Brown a place back in the team to see how he does at least. And if we are playing as poorly as what we did at points at the start of the season, then fair enough, maybe that is when we take the realisation that we're a better team without him. But right now, I feel like it is far too quick to judge, and that is just my opinion on it. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Let me know your opinions to my opinions. That's kind of the both sides of it. My opinion is simply Scott Brown, Celtic legend. And I feel like it's too quick to jump to a conclusion that he's gone and he's done. We are playing well without him, there's no doubt about that. But this is Captain Invincible we're talking about here. That's just my opinion. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe as well. It would be greatly appreciated. And CFC Q&A will be the next video. I need to get the tweet up actually. And I'll see you all next time.